Alright everyone, we made it to the doctor's office for the first time in Japan, and we have to say, wow. Honestly, wow. It was quite the experience for our little family, and we wanted to give you some thoughts while it's really fresh on our minds, because it was so different and definitely lived up to the reputation that a lot of people had told us about. In good ways, but in also different ways. So let's get into that. But for those of you who are new to our channel, we wanted to say welcome, thank you. We've recently moved from Germany to Japan, and we could not be more excited to experience the food, the culture, the landscape, and really everything that's available for us here in Japan. To give you guys a little bit of insight, in Germany, we had a really good experience, I would say, for the most part with our healthcare. Most of the times I could speak in German or in English to the doctors, and it was really quite a smooth process. But our experience with the German healthcare system was still a little bit shocking for us, and there were some major differences from the US. But I think this experience now has opened our eyes to just the next level of differences that we're going to be having while here in Japan. So since arriving in Japan, one of our main priorities has been to look for healthcare, find a pediatrician, but especially the ENT doctors, because our little ones have been having a little bit more ear pain since we've been here. So that was the one that took the most precedence. Just a few weeks ago, I decided to give a call to some of the doctor's offices, and with the very limited Japanese that I have, it started something like, hey, does anyone speak English there in Japanese? And unlike many times in Germany where someone would say, yes, I speak a little bit of English, there was like iie or no in Japanese, and that was really difficult because then the next step was to just keep looking for other offices, hoping that we would find a receptionist who spoke English so that we could make an appointment. So what ended up happening is we kept on calling a few other offices, but with no luck. So that's what we decided to do. We all hopped in the van, we went over to this doctor's office, I went inside, and I had all my Google Translate stuff ready to make an appointment for our girls. And that's where the exciting part begins. So I go into this building, I go up to the receptionist desk, and I ask them if they speak English, and they don't, and I begin to pull out Google Translate. But before I'm even able to do that, a nurse walks out from the other side, and luckily enough, she speaks English, which was really great. The nurse was really friendly, really courteous, asked me how she could help, and I said I'd like to make an appointment. She said, oh, we don't make appointments here. And I was like, oh, what? I had read online on some websites that they said they didn't take appointments, and I thought maybe that's just unique to that practice. But it turns out it's more common than I thought, and that was kind of surprising to us. So we waited in the waiting room. About 40 minutes later, it was finally our turn, and we walked into the back, all four of us, to this big open room with a bed, a pillow, and a blanket, and this is where things really kind of got interesting for us.
Good morning, you guys. It's breakfast time. The girls are eating. I need to brush my hair, like, bad. But it is medicine time, which means here in Japan, it's like science class, because I have powders, I have syrups, and I have some Japanese instruction. We went to the Japanese doctors for the first time. I'm not gonna lie, I was not the biggest fan. I don't want to talk poorly about it, but I do want to be candid and real. It was so quick, so hectic. They just grabbed her from me. I didn't love that, and then later they wanted to weigh Noah, and so they just took her out of my hand, and obviously it was like quick, so she started crying, and it was just abrupt. They were all so nice, but I didn't love the way it was handled. But anyways, this is the amoxicillin. They've dyed it orange, which I think is good to separate from, they have a white powder they gave us, which apparently is like a painkiller. They say also works for fevers. And then we're gonna mix this fluid with the amoxicillin, and it's a syrup. Here they have like lines of every dose for like the week and mix it all together. So that's what I'm gonna do. And while I do this, I guess I'll just share a little bit about the doctors. I didn't love it because it was such an interesting experience. Like, they had the girls lay down and they had a blanket that covered their arms so that they couldn't like move their arms. And Willa held really still, like she's used to it at this point. But Noah did not like that. And I don't know, it just felt so like forced. Like, it just felt like if we would have taken things a little slower, we could have had a better experience. You know, if they would have given us a chance to try and calm Noah down ourselves. Obviously, that could take a long time, depending, but yeah, you can come look at it. Trying to disintegrate the powder into the syrup. Oh, it smells sweet. Like, that syrup is definitely a sweet sugar syrup. which is how they were in Germany. Actually, coming from the States, all of the medicine that I knew was already like pre-mixed. So when we went to Germany, it was a bit of a culture shock where we did actually have like a container of all of the powder, and then we just added water to it. So I think the powder was sweetened. I think it helped that we already knew sometimes you had to like mix it up yourself. But do you see this? There's some medicine.
For you.
Yeah. Do you want to show her how you do it? Go, ah. I think she's really enjoying it.
So, I want to do
Do you want to do it
myself.
yourself? What the? Oh. Hi. Hi.
Be all the
Wish us luck, huh?
Honestly, it was an eye-opening experience for us all, and not what we were expecting, because our experience in Germany was they sat down in a chair and it was very calm and the girls got to sit on their laps while they did it. Completely different, and honestly I think quite the shock to both of our girls. So much like we showed up at the office, we left the office having no return appointment because, well, you can't make an appointment, and we were given a few pieces of paper and they said the pharmacy is downstairs and give this one to them. So that's where I had my next interesting experience of Japanese healthcare. The girls went off to go get some food, so as I go into the pharmacy, I'm greeted very warmly by all the pharmacists, and they begin asking me questions, of course, in Japanese. I'm trying to understand as best as I can, but it's not working, so Google Translate it was. And they asked for my insurance card, told them I have private insurance, and they said, okay, no worries. I gave them the piece of paper with all of the characters written on it, and I sat there for, I would say, 20 to 30 minutes, and then I was finally called up by one of the pharmacists, and when I got to the window, he had all these paperwork, a couple of envelopes with some medicines, and he began to explain to me all in Japanese what I needed to do. Of course, I stopped him and I said, Nihongo iie, just very much like letting him know like I don't speak Japanese. So over the next 5 minutes between Google Translate, his little bit of English, my little bit of Japanese, we were able to get to a point where I felt comfortable leaving with the medicine that he gave me. I will have to say that we consider ourselves pretty lucky during this visit to the pharmacy, because we've heard from other people their stories of spending 3 to 4 hours just to go and get a prescription filled. I think that's crazy, because if you're expecting to have to take half of your day just to go and get medicine, like that's a huge time suck, right? And like not everyone is afforded that luxury to be able to have the time off. But thankfully for us, it really wasn't that long of a wait. For those of you who are expecting like a deeper dive into Japanese healthcare system, this is not the video for that. We definitely are just scratching the surface and sharing with you our experience. But I think it's worth mentioning that we are on an American health insurance right now. That means that we are private according to the Japanese healthcare system, and that means that we have to pay out of pocket for everything and then submit claims to get reimbursed for. That actually reminds me that I wanted to say something about the cost of the visits here. So for our 2 girls to see the ENT in Germany for the same thing, just to look in the ear, to tell them they have a middle ear infection or whatever, it was roughly about 180 euro, I want to say, per person. Luckily, most of that was reimbursed, but here it was a lot cheaper. I think it was roughly 4,500 to 5,000 yen. And then for the pharmacy visit, I think it was another 20 bucks for the antibiotics and the pain medicine. So quite affordable in my opinion, considering. But I will say that this facility that we went to, the facility was quite old, quite small, and it was like all in one room. I guess you give and take in these situations. Maybe a nicer facility would have a higher fee. But it just seems that the Japanese use a lot of their buildings, and it was quite an eye-opening experience. Honestly, it'll be interesting to see how our next visits go to the ENT, to the pediatricians, to the dentist. We're hoping for some good experiences, but this first one was definitely a shocking one, to say the least. Thanks for all the support, everyone. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to hit the notification bell as well so you're notified when another video comes up. And let's have fun while we're exploring Japan. Thanks again for being here. We'll see you in the next video.